Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and I'm terribly sorry to interrupt our regularly scheduled program, but we've got a special insert this morning that we would like to indulge in. And my name, if you haven't heard me in the radio for some time, is Naftal Negongo. And once more, I happen to find myself in the driver's seat on this beautiful, Friday windy morning. And this is your favorite radio broadcaster with a mind of its own. This is OFM. Today we are pleasantly joined in studio by probably the most famous person to ever set foot into our studios. A celebrity I've come to know as approachable, down to earth, eccentric, and by golly, very friendly indeed. Mr. Jamie Bartlett, welcome to OFM. Squire, how are you doing?
Hey, hi.
Sounds like something that you would do as you prepare to go on set.
Yeah, do you know, I love it when people go, hello, are ya? You know, that's me. Hello, are ya? Good morning, everybody.
Pleasure to have you, Jamie. Well, maybe just for the introduction, because I shared a bit of information on the community, what would you call it, WhatsApp page. Yeah. And a lot of people will ask, hey, who's that guy and where's he from and what is he doing here? So Jamie Bartlett is a South African actor best known for his role as the wicked puppet master, David Gennaro. I was looking at the pronunciation of the surname and it would be Portuguese, is it?
No, it's Italian.
Italian?
Gennaro, yeah.
Gennaro. Okay, but they pronounce it with the G is more, what's that mean to say?
Ja.
Amper soos 'n Afrikaans gebrei. Renaro. Well, he stars in Rhythm City, and that is aired on many African countries such as Kenya, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Cameroon, Namibia, and Ghana. There's
a huge audience, particularly in English-speaking Africa, so it would be very big in Lagos, in the whole of Nigeria, in southern Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Botswana, Zim, Kenya, Uganda. UG is a huge audience. So it just pedals all the way up into those areas.
Interesting. Talking of which, Jamie, do you know of any translations of these Rhythm City productions? Like you would see on your Telemundo and stuff like that, where they speak in Spanish, but they actually, the translators are speaking in English. Are you aware of anything like that?
I'm not sure. I know that the subtitle is always at the bottom, and it's one of the ways that people learn how to speak English.
Okay.
Is they're hearing it, the spoken word, and then they're reading the writ word.
So that's an easy way to learn English.
Yeah, I think it's a lazy and wonderful way to learn English.
But just to put things into perspective, if Jamie was a man of war, he'd be handsomely decorated and weighed down by many, many medals. Under his belt, he has achieved the following South African and international awards. Just a few of them that I want to mention here. The Crystal Awards for Best Actor for his role in Isindingo. Vita Award for Best Lead Actor for The Great Outdoors. Avanti Television Award for Best Actor in Isindingo. Vita Award for Best Actor in Mojo. And the list just goes on. Wow, I'm looking at one of the entries here, South African Film and Television Award for Best Actor in Rhythm City. And the list just is almost endless here. It just goes on. And the nominations, one doesn't even need to mention. Jamie, it is clear that, it's clear and very evident that you have the ability to set international stages and screens ablaze. But before we get into interrogating Jamie Bartlett, the television, movie, and theatre veteran, I need to ask you, Mr. Bartlett, what brings you to what brings such a huge personality like yourself to a small, seemingly insignificant town like Oranjemund?
I had a break from my script, and I just went into my car, and I just thought, just go, boy. Just go. So I put a little diesel into that oil burner, and I'm just going to run it up wherever I want to go and whenever I want to go, and if I want to lie in the sand naked and roll about and giggle at myself, then that's what I'll do.
So is it the first time that you've heard of the name of the town of Oranjemund?
No. In actual fact, when I arrived at drama school, 1984, a man who went on to become a lifelong friend and I actually recently spoke at his second wedding, is a man called Oranjemund, born and bred in Oranjemund.
Unbelievable.
So that's the first time I ever heard of this beautiful town.
Small little town. So you, on your way through town, or do you care to share with us where you're on the way to, traveling to?
I actually don't really know. I'm going to go to Roshpina, I'm going to go to Sossisvlei, I'm going to go to Luderitz, and I could go any number of many. You know, I just like to just shoot from the hip and sort of respond as the world sort of breaks open.
Exciting stuff. I wish I could think the same way and do the same stuff. But yeah, I'm caught up in the mainstream. We understand that you were born on the 9th of July 1966 in the comforts of Maidenhead, United Kingdom. Please tell us a little bit about your childhood and upbringing.
Okay, so my mum is a nursing sister and was trained in the UK. In those days, they used to train for 6 years. You had to do orthopedics and pediatrics and all of the things in order to become a sister in those days and learn how to shave patients' private parts and lift people of 250 pounds from one bed to the next. It seems that nowadays they don't have much practical training like they used to. In those days, it was really hands-on kind of theatre training. And she met my dad in hospital because he had a terrible motorcycle accident, and they started to date. And you know what happens when you're dating a girl.
Your parents met in the hospital?
They met. She nursed him.
Unbelievable.
And then when he could walk, they started to date. And when they started to date, I presume that they were interacting on some physical level because out I came.
And the rest is history. Yeah. Listeners, if you've just joined us, this is OFM, the voice of Oranjemund, and we are interviewing and unpacking the life story of famous South African actor Jamie Bartlett, well known for his role as David Gennaro
You know
on Rhythm City.
It's hysterically funny, but I got called by this guy, and he said, "Look, I've written this song, David Gennaro, David, it's like a hip hop song."
Yeah.
And like I thought, oh no, this is a joke. It's not a joke. I mean, it plays on all YFM. It plays on Metro FM. It's a song about the character. Obviously not about me, but it's about the character.
Yeah.
Hysterically funny when a character can, sear their impress onto an audience. They write songs about this person. It does seem quite removed from it.
Interesting. But nevertheless, you grew up in Maidenhead, United Kingdom. Are you the only child?
No. I have a sister who's arguably a much more attractive and a better actor than I.
And where does she live? In South Africa?
Lives in Cape Town.
Okay.
With her husband and one child. That's where Mom lives. And Dad, he passed away last year, almost at about this time. I think it's about this time. What's the date today?
Today is the 18th. Of this month,
August.
No, I think I must remember. I must call Mum. It's about this time. Yes.
Well, according to our research further on you, Jamie, we understand that you were once married to actor Madam Camilla Wildman, and you were blessed with a son named Hector.
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about him, and does he aspire to the big screens like Daddy?
Not at all. My son is, he's a monstrous man like you.
Am I big?
No, you're a very big guy, and he is a very big guy.
Just to put this into perspective, this guy is just a little bit taller than myself, and he's calling me big. Okay.
Hector is a giant man with giant dreadlocks and rings through his nose, and I sort of look at him and think, okay, darling, whatever it is, Dad loves you no matter what. He's quite a brilliant and singular person, reading mathematics, economics and politics at Edinburgh University in Scotland.
So he's migrated to the UK?
He's migrated to the UK. And dare I say it, I never thought I'd say it, but I'm very pleased that he's in that place now.
Unbelievable. But further to this, given the political climate in the Republic of South Africa, in actual fact, let me ask you, when did your parents migrate to Southern Africa?
When I was a young boy. I was a young boy, and My father's was told by doctors, listen, Rick, you're disabled. You must move to a warmer climate if you have that option. Go to Kenya, go to South Africa, go to Australia. But you're because of the intensity of the injuries in the shoulders, the hands, the legs, the feet, the hips, they said that you're going to have a much better quality of life were you to go somewhere warmer.
Warmer climate.
Yeah.
So naturally you migrate south.
South.
Given the political climate in the Republic of South Africa when you were growing up, apartheid was the order of the day. After its abolishment, you starred in a movie called Mandela, The Long Walk to Freedom. What was the outlook? What was your outlook, particularly from your vantage point? How was it living in South Africa at that point in time?
Well, South Africa was a very, very bleak place, as you know. I mean, apartheid by its very, very nature is about divide and rule. So it's a very, very bleak existence. You know, when you grow up in it, you're very aware of it. My father and mother used to speak to me about it all the time, but it's only when you travel outside of South Africa, those first couple of trips back to the UK as a conscious child, those trips to Israel and into Egypt and Upper Egypt, that's when I realized just how ghastly it was, because that's when you really see the mirror. Sometimes when you're in Oranjemund, you don't realize that it's a permit town until you go outside and you realize, hey, wow. It's only when you get outside you realize what it's like. The same as apartheid. It was a very, very bleak environment. And it ended up enormously shaping me, because you had things like compulsory military service, which I refused to do.
I was about to ask you that question.
And so there,
Conscription.
And there's no ways I was going to do that. And of course, you have to be on the run. Now you're putting yourself into the line. So you can't have a landline, you can't have a motor car. That's how they find you. I'm very, very aware of that. And the military police were very active when I was growing up.
So I'm assuming that you've obviously completed your matric, because you went on to varsity and so forth.
Yeah.
So didn't you receive a letter in the mail in about your standard 10?
Yeah, you get
For
the letter in the
conscription,
mail,
yeah. Okay.
and the only way you can get out of it, obviously, you can delay, which a lot of South Africans did by going to university. The moment you completed your university, you are now back on conscription. And as you know, when you get conscription, you know where you're going to go. If they say to you it's a township in Tembisa, Katlehong, and you're standing on top of with a commanding officer telling you to open fire, you don't disobey an officer. So you are going to put yourself at huge risk of morally doing something that you don't want to be part of at all. And that's really where South Africa started the beginning of the brain drain.
And people started to move overseas.
And a lot of parents just morally just couldn't corrupt their children into allowing them to go to the army. And then that's why, you'll sort of see you'll be in some remote part of Canada, and you'll say to this guy, hey, where are you from? And you'll be a guy about 55, and I'll say, I'm actually from Joburg, but I've been living here for 35 years. He's a vet that fled.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you lived through the years of Madiba being released from his prison cell on Robben Island. What was that experience
Released
like
from
for
Victor
you?
Verster.
Okay.
So Mandela moved from the island.
He was moved from the island
to
onto the mainland. Yes.
To the Pollsmoor.
Correct.
And from Pollsmoor to Victor Verster.
You know the history.
I'm very, very well.
Oh, you had to know because you participated in the movie.
Oh, and of course I've lain in the same bed that he lay in. At
Interesting.
Victor Verster, in the house.
Did you have vivid dreams of what could be
I just looked
in our
around a lot
future?
and imagined this is the home that was built for him in his final years. And this is the bed where he slept. And this is the toilet and the basin. And I've worked in the kitchen. And very, very, very emotional to do that movie. Especially I played this guy called Sergeant James Gregory, who was with Mandela from the time he entered the island to Pollsmoor on the mainland, and to Victor Verster, and with him on the day that he walked out through the gates. It was quite...
So this chap was assigned to him for the duration of his stay.
He was also speaking Englishman called James Gregory, and he never left his side. They became very, very close friends. They both lost their sons. Madiba lost his son while he was on the island in a car accident. And Gregory also lost his son. And so, they were sharing a lot of stuff like mail, information, and I think it was a relationship that grew respect over a long, long period of time. And I don't think either one of them was really expecting to form a friendship.
The question is getting into the character. To be able to do it justice, you need to spend time meditating and installing that information into your soul to be able to play it out. Was that a difficult thing for you to do?
Having grown up in apartheid, I know this stuff. And I've worked in anti-apartheid plays where you are embodying people that are innately racist. That's what the play requires. And it's important that you imbibe and embody that. Otherwise the play doesn't work and you're not serving it. I well understand that. And of course, in this movie, which takes place over 25 years, it's important that you see a change in the character. Somebody who grows to respect Mandela very, very, very much is a very different person to the person that we meet on the entry, into the film. It's important that we blow oxygen into that change and that movement in the character.
Jamie, South Africa,
Yeah.
2017, many years after 1994.
Yeah.
Popularly on our community radio station, we don't delve into politics per se.
Yeah.
But being a South African, we on this side of the river and we watching what is happening there. Namibia is used to be considered like a fifth province of South Africa, if I can put it that way. The direction that politics have taken per se in South Africa. You don't have to go into too much details, but how do you feel as a South African looking at what has happened and the dream of Mandela, and that just seems to have evaporated? What is your perspective on that?
My perspective is that, you talk about the dream of Mandela, or the Congress, the mighty Congress, arguably the biggest liberation party in the world, and a party that's people used to write about in gold letters. What an incredible voice and what a movement, and it is a movement, but I think there are many people within that movement, it would seem, that don't uphold the ideals that you spoke about earlier about Madiba, and the country and the name of the party, it would seem, is being ransacked.
Are you hopeful?
I have to be. But I'm somewhat stunned and puzzled, like a lot of South Africans, absolutely puzzled. Because when you look at the ordinary South African next to you at the traffic light and you touch their blood, or you look at them and you just are listening possibly to the same radio station, or you're looking at the same newspaper things on the lampposts, we are all stunned. We have been captured.
The word that comes to mind is mortified.
Yeah. So it's not the guy or the lady next to you in the queue at the bank.
True.
This has happened almost like somebody's whipped your underpants off you and you didn't even see it coming.
Mr. Bartlett, concerning theatrics, movies, TV, stage, what drove you to consider such a dramatical career?
There was no choice for me. I always wanted to become an actor.
Really? Yeah. I mean, as a young child, you just aspired to...
I just wanted to be an actor. I certainly knew that from about 11 or 12. I just loved acting, and thank God I was encouraged by wonderful, wonderful teachers at primary school who saw that I wanted to do this and just blew air into it and gave me the space and had the space as part of the school curriculum. And then into my high school a little bit, but I became very self-conscious as I got older and a bit sort of tortured as a man. I sort of gravitated more towards rugby and wheeling motorbikes and carrying on like a buffoon. But I always knew... But I always knew that actually when you put me against a wall and said, I'm going to headbutt you in the nose, what is your choice going to be? I wanted to go to drama school.
So you knew from the outset that you wanted to go to drama school?
Yeah. So I got a couple of bursaries to play rugby union, Potch, Cape Town, a couple of choices. And then very, very quickly when I got to UCT, I realized, no, you can't play rugby and be an actor. because at night they're rehearsing. You're going to be on the backstage. You're going to be doing the lights. You're going to be doing this while they're practicing rugby, and you can't actually walk on stage with a broken hip and a smashed nose. You already look ugly enough.
Talking of which, what school in Cape Town did you go to? Is it that long ago that you can't recall?
No. I was at school at Forries, little red blazer Forries in Rondebosch.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was at Wet Pups, which is called Western Province Preparatory School. And then I spent a bit of time at Rondebosch Boys High. And then I moved to Johannesburg and was kicked out of a school called St. Stithians College. And
Let's not ask why.
No.
Let's leave it at that.
Let's not ask why.
Let's leave it at that.
And then I went to, I've never seen a girl in my life. And then all of a sudden, in the apartheid government, the school that you were zoned for or living in, they had to accept you. And I was living in Bryanston, and I went to Bryanston High, and I saw the ribbons on girls' hair, and I smelt that they were using something on their skin called cream to hydrate, had a light perfume to it. And all of these things are quite new to me, actually.
Naughty boy. Naughty boy. Listeners, this is OFM, the radio station with a mind of its own. I'm dying to take a little bit of a break, but I'm so eager to unpack the treasure chest, that of Mr. Bartlett. So I'm just going to skip through all these things, and I'm going to go straight to the next question. The character that you play, David, this pronunciation, Gennaro, from the soap opera Rhythm City. Were you specifically selected from a great deal of other people? And bear in mind that it's popularly considered a black soapy. How did you, as a white man, gain the favor of directors for that setting?
Okay, well, this character is written for me.
Okay.
And it's, I played Mike O'Reilly on Isidingo in the very beginning, during Isidingo's heyday. And Mike O'Reilly was the most racist man ever to appear on television. He would be doing things that you could never ever do in the new South Africa. I'm not only talking about the kissing scenes, the sex scenes, but addressing issues of race and stuff like that. And they were too scared to make him a South African. So O'Reilly was this like real East End bother guy, rough and tough and talk like that. A real heavy heart, like to fight and fist up and in the bar every night.
Interesting.
And they made the most racist man in South African history on TV a Englishman. And I played him.
And the director was probably Afrikaans.
Yeah, but they were just too scared because he was really dealing with stuff head on.
Yeah.
And Isidingo at its time was, nobody had ever seen anything like that. I mean, the race element was in the room and they were on it. They were talking about it. It was right out there. And those wonderful actors at that time, Khomla Dandala, Tony Garocho, Rapalani Sapuma, we really threw it at them. Sherelle, Michelle Boertes, the wonderful characters, and we went at it. And sometimes when you watch they're rerunning it now, you just can't believe what we were doing at that time. Nowadays, in South Africa...
The time frame, let's go to the setting, the year?
That would have been 1997.
Sheesh.
1997, we were really going for it, and they were. Nowadays, everybody's so PC, so politically correct. I mean, some of the kissing scenes, I get fined all the time. Gennaro gets fined by the Broadcasting Association all the time. You can't see any spit. You can't flick your tongue across somebody's lips. You can't assume to disappear from the camera as if you were to be
going down
into the nether regions as one does. You can't even suggest that idea. Not even suggest.
Interesting. I thought TV was very liberal these days.
No, it's very, very. The Broadcasting Association is something else, and when you compare that to what we were doing on Isidingo, that's 20 years ago. I mean, it's chalk and cheese. You can't do anything, even though we were at a 7:00 slot, and Isidingo then was at a 6:30 slot.
Talking about the character being so racist and everything. South
I'm talking about the Mike O'Reilly was a very. So then they wanted.
The particular character. I just wanted to ask the question. Now, as the actor, remember, you've got to park the character and walk off set and go home. But when people meet you in public, didn't you have a sort of an audience that tended to look at you and say, "Oh, that's that guy," because they believe that the character and yourself are one?
Look, in the beginning, they had a big insurance on Mike O'Reilly. It was taken out by the channel SABC3. So it had a very big insurance. And then Mike O'Reilly actually became the favored character of the South African audience.
But for what good reason?
I think that if you colour with many, many shades of a colour the villain, as I do with Gennaro, he's not just one dull blue colour. He's many, many, many things. And Gennaro cries in front of the audience. He cries on the screen. He gets mad. You show the audience what he does publicly and privately, and those two very particular things. And when the audience falls in love with your private moment, it's very special. And
so it's a composite of emotions and what else? A complex. So character is not as simple as just 1, 2, 3. You really have to unpack it, so to speak.
Yeah, look.
In every other scene.
So they've been watching him for 10 years. And he's been through smoking crack pipes with prostitutes in Yeovil and living there, to a man of enormous wealth involved in a steady relationship. He has a child, so you've got the unbreakable bond of father to child, and what a father will do to protect his child, protect his empire, and then lose all his money. So you've been through these long, undulating stories where the audience has got to see you. And a lot of people in South Africa have grown up with Gennaro. He is a white man in essentially a black youth soap. But a lot of people who are 22 years old have actually been watching him for years and years and years. He's been in their living room every night. So that we've all kind of grown together.
Interesting. Jamie, we have learned that you attended both the University of Cape Town for training in speech and drama, and later on attended the Chrysalis Theatre Acting School in London. Did this indulgence in education help you much, or is acting just in the blood?
No, I don't think acting's, some people, it's in the blood. The main thing about acting, apropos your question, is that acting is a craft. So you can say, hey, that guy's got a talent for bowling. But by the time you've had the best West Indian fast bowlers looking at you and talking to you, take that guy's got a talent for bowling. All of a sudden he can bowl an in-swinger, an out-swinger, a dead-eye dick. All of a sudden he's got 7 different balls. All he had 10 years ago was just a talent. He was a young guy of 10. You could see he could bowl. When you've got the best West Indian fast bowlers teaching you, all of a sudden you become a craftsman. And that guy, that's not just a fast ball he's bowling down there. He's actually going to give you something that is, he's going to mix up the bag, and all of a sudden you're middle stump, LBW, caught in the back foot, caught behind. Do you know what I mean? He's just too good because it's become a craft. It's not just a talent.
Interesting. You've starred alongside many famous people such as Michael Dudikoff and Steve James. I mean, I used to watch the American Ninja. I mean, I watched the replay of this like not too long ago.
Yeah.
And then again, you've also starred alongside people like Angelina Jolie, and the list just goes on. Just to mention a few of those people. Why haven't the great lights and glamour of Hollywood lured you to the United States?
Do you know, I think that I'm too much of a political animal, I think. I really want to tell our stories. They're much more interesting to me. I realize that for Americans, when they're playing that story, that's the story that interests them, that mirrors and reflects the world that they live in. For me, it's just like, it has no interest for me whatsoever. I'm much more interested in telling our stories on the stage, on the small screen, and on the very big cinema screen. And those 3 genres are very, very different. And they require entirely different understanding and methodologies and approaches when you're working on the tiny little TV, the massive cinema screen, or you're working at the Market Theatre in a 800-seater.
Charlize Theron, the name comes to mind.
Yeah.
You obviously see that as an international success, a resounding South African success story.
Yeah.
You don't see yourself moving down that line and taking it international. You have been international. I'm just saying more on a mainstream sort of thing, doing that permanently instead of. I just see South Africa as maybe too small for you.
I think that you hit a glass ceiling in South Africa, whatever you do. you do hit a glass ceiling. It's just
What it is.
yeah, it's just what it is. I mean, you're living on the arse end of Africa. You're going to hit the ceiling. I suppose it's in any country in Africa. There just isn't the money and the opportunity. Quite frankly, people don't watch movies in South Africa. It doesn't make sense. So bums on seats. Ster-Kinekor and New Metro have an absolute, they apply a mathematical equation. How big was your weekend? How many bums on seats?
Yeah.
We're closing 6 screens. By Wednesday, how big was your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? How many bums on seats? We're shutting down another 11 screens. And then at the end of the next weekend, they just say, I'm sorry, but there are 3 screens only. That is Hyde Park, Johannesburg, Cape Town Waterfront, and Mapanya Mall in Soweto. Those are the only screens for your film. It's not doing very well. It's not personal. It's about an equation that is applied. And people in South Africa, Afrikaans movies are the ones that people go to see and are very loyal supporters of any Afrikaans film. For the rest of it, numbers are very, very tough, and it's a tough thing to pull off.
So it's a marginal business. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah. And South African television, it's not like, when the BBC, they make the most beautiful television with the knowledge that it will onward sell. It's going to sell on. It's that kind of quality. It's made so beautifully, so carefully crafted that it will sell on to people like South Africa. Mnet will buy it. The Australians are going to buy it. The South Americans are interested, even with subtitles. And the Yanks, the Americans are going to buy it too. We don't make television for onward sale. And I don't think that Africans that are interested in purchasing South Africa are interested in paying real bang for buck. We kind of want our content for virtually nothing. And that goes right up. I mean, Uganda and that, they don't pay a lot for content. Even like on Rhythm City, I'm sure they don't pay. But I wish that we would think more about making really quality African television for onward sale elsewhere.
Interesting. We talked a little bit about the people that you've been seen on stage with. Again, my American Ninja. I mean, I grew up on that sort of stuff. I grew up in the
Steve
era
James,
of,
man. He had the biggest arms I couldn't believe it. I mean, his arms were thicker than my legs.
Unbelievable.
He was a great guy.
Michael Dudikoff was one of my star heroes when I was a young boy. I mean, alongside the likes of Schwarzenegger and
Yes, of course.
the likes of
Reg Park.
There we go. But who are the other big shoulders that you've rubbed? Big names that you rubbed shoulders with?
Well, obviously working with Idris Elba was quite interesting, because all my scenes were with Mandela, and he played Mandela, so on The Long Walk to Freedom. He was interesting. The best actor I've acted opposite is Chiwetel Ejiofor of 12 Years a Slave fame. Chiwetel is quite a potent force. And Hilary Swank, who's won the Oscar twice under the age of 28, been directed by Tom Hooper. Angelina was great to work with. Clive Owen was great. Great directors, who've done a couple of James Bond movies. And it's just, I've had opportunity, and I've been very, very lucky and spoilt in terms of working with the kind of people who interrogate at a very, very high level. And I thank the stars for that. And brilliant stuntmen. All the James Bond stuntmen, when you're working and being taught by very, very good stuntmen how to sell punches, how to rock, how to take the bullet wounds, how to stagger, how to do all the bullet swabs, the blood, the condoms, electrically. You've got to learn. There's a lot of stuff to learn.
You talked about Idris Elba,
Yes.
who started that movie Mandela.
Yes.
Do you think it was right that a screenplay like that from South Africa, you guys had to get a big name like that from outside, in the entire country of South Africa and the entire continent, we couldn't find a black man to act Mandela?
Yeah, but I concur, and I can't tell you, I'm as emotional as you are about it, and also Winnie Mandela being played by Naomi, who, Winnie Mandela, arguably, as important as Mandela. She was on the outside, and her tale is one of real struggle. I want to explain something. Say you get a friend of mine like Hlomla Dandala to play Mandela.
Yeah.
and he's going to age using all the plastics. And every day it was a 3-hour makeup to get all the plastics and to get it going, because you've got to age 25 to 30 years in the picture. You can't. If Chromler was going to do it, we would have to make the movie for 15 million rand. If Idris is going to do it, all of a sudden we've got 350 million rand.
So it opens up the opportunity to acquire more resources to actually do the picture justice.
When you can attach a big name, and Idris is on a high at the moment. It was the biggest thing he'd ever done, but Idris is, people adore him. He's got a big market. He's a very sexy guy. The moment you attach him, and then you attach the James Bond girl, Naomi, who plays Miss Moneypenny, all of a sudden somebody says, oh, they're doing it. Okay, we'll throw another $20 million at it.
And you don't believe that the name Mandela resonates with a lot of people internationally? Wouldn't it have sold itself?
It might have done, but just to put it in perspective, like when we were working on the Robben Island sets, those sets are built with the original doors of Robben Island, the original locks, the exact sizes. You're talking about a 20 million rand set, eh?
Interesting.
With the limestone courtyard in exactly the same plan and footprint, with the proper locks, with the proper hats, with the proper uniforms, with the proper... It was... Everything was
to the
verbatim
detail.
to the detail. So, that's just one set. We're also building sets that are Soweto of 1950s home, with the original cars, with the original houses, with the original paintwork, with the original street lights, and you're driving around buses inside a set and cars inside a set. This is the kind of detail that you're going to.
So this is where the costs go to when we see a movie,
yeah.
and they say this is the most expensive movie to have made, and you wonder why.
So
I thought they literally go to the original place where how can I say, like Robben Island, where the prison was.
Yeah, and you're not allowed on there.
Really?
No, I think they shot a couple of helicopter shots there, but that was just too sensitive.
Interesting.
But just a point of interest. 12 Years a Slave that my friend Chiwetel led, and that brilliant Kenyan actress, forgets me now, they said that was the smallest movie to be nominated at the Oscars 2 years ago, and it had the same budget as our biggest film, Mandela, The Long Walk to Freedom. This is what they call a tiny little $35 million movie done on a shoestring. How can we make a movie with such little money? And they did, with huge success. Well, that was the size of the budget of Mandela, The Long Walk to Freedom.
Unbelievable.
So when they talk about big budget movies in America, they really are talking big budget. They're not playing around.
I'm sure that your personal life is nothing short of drama. Forgive me for the pun. But what keeps you intrigued about your art of choice, and keeps you pushing the envelope to the extent where you want to break a leg and tear a ligament for directors on set?
I love the discipline of it. I love getting up very early in the morning, and I love going out there to interrogate and to crush the vowel sounds and to hit the consonants and to bellow oxygen into that scene to make it work. I love getting on the cans and saying to my director, is it working? Is it reading? Can I give you another option? Can I walk into that close-up and make it in an extreme close-up at the end? Can I give you an edit point? Is there another edit point at the end that I can give you by swiping across the lens? Can I try something else with this one? Have we got it in the bag? Thank you, sir. Let's move on.
When we met yesterday afternoon, I walked into studio, and immediately when I saw your face, it took me to the TV screen. And you looked the part of the villain. You really do. So, when you wake up, what is your motivation in life? You stated something yesterday while we were in studio.
What did I say?
It was something related to goodness. You made an impact on me when you said what you said. I just forgot. But I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
I'll get back to it. Hopefully I'll remember it. So you were probably saying it just off the cuff. I thought it was sort of like a mantra that you had in life. Yeah.
Naftal, I remembered it.
You remember?
Yeah. He said, be interested and be interesting.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
be interested and therefore interesting.
Yes, that's what you say.
So, be interested to interrogate and to just flick your fingers, to just scuff up the dust and be intrigued and follow that. And in so doing, you will be very interesting. So interrogate, invigorate, and you'll find that people are quite interested in you because you're interested.
Jamie, we've reached the epilogue of our session in studio with you. Do you have any parting words or advice to any listeners who are aspiring actors out there? And before you maybe answer this question, I would also just like to maybe reach out to our audience who are listening by radio, obviously, and maybe on your PC streaming. Please do phone us in studio on 23711. We are in studio with Jamie Bartlett and we're talking to him. So please tell us, sir, what would your words of departure be in terms of advising our listeners and that want to be, or rather are aspiring actors?
What would my passing words be? Parting, not passing, but passing maybe too. I always think about passing as passing wind or passing water. Reach beyond your grasp.
Reach beyond your grasp.
Yeah, I like to, I always just think, just don't sell yourself short. Put your best foot forward, box on the front foot. Only only Muhammad Ali was able to box against the ropes. No other boxer in history can do it, and he was the greatest. So my advice is do what other good boxers do, like good cricketers. Get onto the front foot.
Do things differently.
Yeah.
Jamie, we're going to take a bit of music now.
Cool.
Our listeners are probably listening in and very, very, how can I say, not shell-shocked, but starstruck, listening to our conversation here on OFM. Listeners, I'm going to take a bit of music, and if anybody wants to come through at that time, please do so, and you can maybe post a question to our guest in studio. If you may be too shy to come onto air and you don't feel that you're comfortable in that way, you're most welcome to maybe even send me a message on the WhatsApp group that we are all on. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back right after this musical excursion. Sounds right there by Midnight Star, and that one is called Midas Touch, and that's a special dedication to you, Jamie. Everything you touch turns to gold, eh? We had a caller. Please do return that call, please.
Would you
And we are blessed to have a caller. Caller, you are live. Who are we speaking to?
Hello.
Yeah.
It's Hermanus here.
Hi, Hermanus. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
We are doing great, thank you. In studio with Jamie. I must call you Jamie Fox.
How are you, Hermanus?
I'm fine, Jamie. How are you?
Cool, very cool, thank you.
I'm the one that you met this morning.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, they're in front of school.
Yes, whose son attended the lecture yesterday evening.
I missed it, but I'm fortunate to talk to you now.
Well, fantastic. Have you got a question for me, Hermanus?
Yes, I've got maybe a 3-in-1 question, but I'll try. Jimmy, I see that like the likes of South Africa's talent, it has originated from America or somewhere, as I follow, and then Nigeria is doing it, South Africa is doing it. And this, now, how can a small country like Namibia also maybe start that kind of thing? Or is it a difficult thing to start with?
Well, that is an international format. So that is a format that you buy from, it's the same format in America's Got Talent, it's the same format as South Africa, it's the same format as Romania or Italy. So if you want to do it exactly like that, with the 3 judges and the buzzer and the golden buzzers and all the thing that goes with it, that would require the purchasing of the rights and the franchise. And then the lady who produces, she's from the UK, she will come out and she trains the judges and gets everybody up to speed, and there's a lot of work that happens in the post-production and interviews backstage and who's hosting and the backstory of the characters. There's a whole lot going on with backstory and in that franchise. So it's very, very possible, but it would need somebody to come up with quite a lot of money. It's expensive.
Okay. And then I see when you are on South Africa's Got Talent,
Yes.
you are emotional when people go. I don't know what keeps you there. So what is the experience like when your tears are rolling there?
Well, it's just, sometimes, I'm honest, it's also about, people are really kind of putting themselves into the light there. They've never gone onto a stage with that kind of light and that kind of, 20,000 watts of amplification. They've got a microphone in their hand, or they're sharing a juggling skill, or they're doing something with a dog on the stage. It's a very, very big moment of such huge importance, and I realize that and I respect it, and sometimes I find it very moving when you just realize that you are witnessing a very big moment in this person's life, and I'm sometimes overwhelmed by that.
Yeah. No, thank you, Jimmy. Those are the questions that I had. That is what I've experienced, seeing you do, and then I also wanted to know what's the background about the starting up of the show. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thanks so much. Thanks for calling in, Hermanus.
All right.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Thank you so much, Hermanus, for that call. It means a great deal to us to have listeners who are interested in what we do on the station with a mind of its own. Mr. Estin, there I go again. I want to call you Jamie Fox. Goodness gracious. Mr. Bartlett. Terribly sorry, man.
No problem.
Yeah, you seem to be very insignificant in my mind this morning. I'm thinking of Jamie Fox. I don't know why.
I love Jamie Fox. He's been very quiet. It seemed quiet. He was...
Yeah. We seem to have another caller here that wants to express themselves. Let's take that call. Caller, you live.
Good morning, hello.
Morning. How are you doing, sir?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Who were you talking to?
You're talking to Stalin.
Stalin.
Yeah.
Soos in van Stalingrad.
Yeah, you can take it that way.
Okay. Stalin, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Great, man. What would you like to say?
Hi, Stalin.
I want to find out if I'm fortunate or unfortunate.
We don't tell fortunes, man.
It's very sad that I only got to know that David is around today.
Oh, you want to call him by his stage name, David. Everybody knows you as David.
Pardon?
Hey, no. I'm talking to Jamie in studio. Yes, everybody knows him as David.
Stalin, you've got to listen to the radio. It was on yesterday afternoon that I was here and in town and coming and talking yesterday evening. I would have loved to have had you there.
It's very sad, man.
Okay.
But is this the last day that you're in town?
Yes, I'm leaving this morning.
Oh. Okay.
But we definitely are very lucky to have Jamie, David in your case, in town, regardless. As I said to the listeners before, he probably is definitely the most famous person that we've had at the radio station since its launch in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Stalin, thanks very much for calling in.
Okay, thanks, man.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Famous, eh? So how do you feel when people call you David? They familiar with the stage name David?
Yeah, that Davido is that the slang, Davido,
Okay.
or David, or Jamie, or, some... They can't help it. Even friends of mine that I know sometimes call me David because...
That's who they're familiar with.
They're familiar with it. It's so embarrassing. And I just sort of look at them. I try not to even blink.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there are no more phone calls to come through, I definitely need to let our guest go. He has to hit the road and continue
Hit the
his
road,
escapade. Yeah, escapade through old Southwest Africa and Namibia. Yeah. When last did you hear that name, Southwest Africa?
She was that. You don't hear that name anymore.
You don't?
No. You get like southwestern districts that they play rugby, but you don't get Southwest Africa. But I do see southwestern districts playing. I'm a very big. I love rugby union. It's a game that I was incredibly passionate about. So, and I love watching schoolboy rugby and rugby festivals and just watching the guys just let rip. I wish that my back and my knees and my legs could handle it, but they clearly can't anymore.
So, once again, you said you're driving off to Roshpina.
Roshpina?
You've actually memorized the name and you're pronouncing it correctly. So, you've done a bit of looking at your map, haven't you?
I've done a bit of looking at my map, and I'm a man who is interested.
Interesting.
Yes, and therefore interesting. So I'm very, very quizzical and inquisitive.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, ladies and gentlemen, our eccentric brother from South Africa, Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox, you see?
Mr. Fox, there you go.
I don't know.
There's
what's up
something
with
foxy
me.
about you, mate.
I don't know, man. Jamie, thank you very much once again for making it to studio. It really means a great deal to us to have you on air and to share you and to share your mind with our people in this town.
What a pleasure.
I hope it won't be the last time that you'll be coming through here.
No, the next time that I sort of, I moor my boat as a tour, we'll throw an anchor in the studio again.
And when you're on set and you think about doing a desert scene, please remember Oranjemund and remember that we've got some people here with skills as well.
But I did tell you earlier that I have, had to make love inside a house in Coleman's Kop. It was sort of up to the halfway up the walls and sand. And
What movie was that?
It was a movie called The Sandgrass People.
Interesting.
And Lena Faruja and I had to do a love scene in that sandy house in the same room, as 20 crew members and 2 cameras. Most interesting what the job requires.
So you are familiar with southern Namibia per se?
I am. I've done quite a lot of films here. And I did that movie with Angelina Jolie, and that's a bit of Swakop. I've done a few things. Yeah, and...
Do you talk any Afrikaans?
Yes, I can speak it, but I can understand Afrikaans better than I can speak it.
Okay. Let's leave it at that.
Maar ek kan nie gowwe brood praat, maar ek kan 'n bietjie braai hier en daar.
A boy that grew up in South Africa and you can't speak Afrikaans. Goodness gracious. Yeah.
It's been fantastic. Thank you very, very much, and God bless everybody.
You've said it all, and that is that's us playing out with this next song, and do enjoy. Thank you, Mr. Bartlett.
Cheers.